In 1966, a movie by the name of A Man for All Seasons came out, and that was the story of Thomas More. He was the Chancellor, but at great cost, he stood to his values. The Chancellor Award obviously is named after Thomas More for the portrayal of his values, his principles, and his standards. To me, as well as to many others, Tom Sager is a modern-day man for all seasons.
Several months ago, Tom Triscoe called me and asked me if I'd like to say a few words about Coach Sager. I started thinking about all the wind sprints and the running he made us do, and I started licking my chops and say, yeah, I certainly would love to. And he said, no, Gary, he said, you gotta say something nice.
At Don Bosco, I don't think I ever missed a day of school or an athletic practice. The brothers ingrained in us the family spirit, which I think carried with me to this day. I was also lucky enough to meet my beautiful wife, Barbara Lakomsky, there.
I can't remember the first time I met Coach Sager. It was either when I was playing basketball at St. Matthew's Grade School or when I attended his West Side basketball school in the 6th or 7th grade.
I first met Tom Sager when I started high school at Don Bosco in the fall of 1968.
I first met him my senior year in high school as he became my varsity coach.
So for over 50 plus years, he's been a positive influence on my life.
I was fortunate enough to have great coaches. At Don Bosco, I had Ron Fieber, Andy Steffen, Jim Haluska, and the best coach I ever played for, Coach Sager.
We grew up on 27th and Mitchell, and my two little brothers, Mike and Gary, and I would often go over to the playground at St. Lawrence and play sports. There I ran into Dan Surgis, David Ledrowski, and Tom Brisky, who were Don Bosco guys, and they kind of got me hooked on Don Bosco. My mom and dad waited in line to register me at Don Bosco, and I believe that the first year's tuition was $80 at that time. During my freshman year at Don Bosco, my parents moved to 33rd and Morgan. It was an interesting block. Next to us were the Shelleys. 3 doors down from them were the Mims. We used to dive off my dad's garage into the Shelleys above-ground swimming pool. Tom Mim and I are the only two 10-letter winners in Don Bosco's history. My dad, William Peter Sager, is a 36 P&Ono grad. He played 7 varsity sports. An interesting sidelight was when we had our picnic at Maddie's, Eddie Barzak, DB class of 1958, came up to me and said, hey coach, you know, you got 10 letters, I got 12. I was the all-time great athletic manager for Don Bosco.
In many respects, Tom was a larger-than-life character to me. He was a prolific athlete, and he was a good student who had come back to teach and coach at his alma mater after completing college.
I got hired at Don Bosco as a teacher and coach of 3 sports. I met Coach Jim Haluska and his wonderful family where we worked together.
He was a great coach.
Although at times, he can be, well, overbearing.
He was tough. He was old school. He was hard-nosed. He was loud. He was boisterous. He was demanding.
But you always knew that he had your best intentions at heart. And he always was preaching for the good.
He truly earned the respect of everyone.
He had an image very much fitting his nickname, the Bear.
He walked a fine line between intimidating the students and applying a fair sense of oversight. Getting on his bad side was never a good place to be. He did recognize, however, achievement, effort, and loyalty, and he takes those traits with him to this very day.
I also had the pleasure of coaching, teaching some of the finest, hardworking, smart, dedicated student athletes you'd ever want to coach. I got my master's degree and was given an opportunity as Dean of Students, in addition a number of other administrative assignments. Among them was being a member of the Don Bosco Foundation, which was designed to save the school. Eventually that evolved into a group that helped with the Don Bosco P&O merger and the creation of Thomas More High School.
Tom ended up playing a prominent role on the team that put together the merger between Don Bosco and P&O and essentially the birth of Thomas More.
I don't know how Coach Sager rates the 1972-1973 TM team in his career of coaching, but those of us that participated that year have to be proud that a group of players that the previous year were rivals came together, were undefeated at home, beat the #1 team in the state, and finished with one of the best records in this school's history.
I had them for 4 years. The 4th year, and arguably what was the best conference in the state, we were co-champs and went to state that year. The year after, he took a team to the state championship game only to lose by 1 basket.
That game was decided on a last-second shot by a Bosco player with the score tied, rattling in and out and falling out. The game went into overtime and St. Catherine's won. Bob Nija, himself a state championship coach at Messmer High School, wrote, "Dear Tom, I know you've probably heard this many, many times in the past few days, but I sincerely mean this. That was the finest coach team I have ever seen."
If you haven't had a chance to look out the St. Thomas More Gymnasium in the hall, you're going to see the Jim Haleska Wall of Fame, which has honored 29 Don Bosco championship teams. That took about 3 to 4 years in the making.
Shortly after joining the board, I got a call from Tom Sager, who wanted to get together with me and a group of other guys from Bosco and talk about some ideas he had in order to recognize some of the outstanding teams and athletes from the early days of Don Bosco. Things heated up quickly for this group under Tom's leadership as we started planning for a Bosco reunion, golf outings, and eventually the Jim Haleska Wall of Champions.
The culmination of Coach Sager's impact on his alma mater and on Thomas More was the creation of the Jim Haleska Wall of Fame. It was a huge effort to try to make up, as he would say, catching up to all of the great players and great teams at Don Bosco that had not been recognized.
I think the Coach Haleska golf outing, which has grown from about 35 guys to 135, has given us the financial support, backing, and spirit that helps us to where we are today. I'm very humbled to be a part of this and to help facilitate this.
I'd be remiss not to mention his wife Barb and their family for all the work, sacrifice, time they've put in, their blessings that they've given them, and their involvement in many of these activities.
Recently, in a conversation with Coach Sager, he remarked that he considered himself to be a better administrator than a coach. Well, that may be, but whatever success he had as a coach or as an administrator is because of the man he is. It's because of the son he was, the husband he is, the father he is, the grandfather he is, and the friend that he is. And that is why he is so well deserving of this Chancellor Award.
The efforts that Tom put into all of these activities over the past several years, and throughout his life actually, are truly inspiring. What impresses me most though about him is that he didn't do this for Tom Sager. He didn't do it for himself. He did it for all those Bosco alum that he helped bring together after all these years.
As I said earlier, he's the best basketball coach I ever played for, but you can tell he's even a better person.
I want to read an excerpt from a friend of his, Ray Rosick. As I came to know and understand Tom, his bulk diminished, his substance grew. I began to see the rainbows in his thunder. True friendship assumes risks. To take the risk of loving a barking bear is not easy, but it has been worth every trying moment because I have found a gentle, caring human being who I love and respect.
I look at the school year as 180 days. I look at a 4-year career in high school as 720 days. My philosophy for every kid I've ever talked to is this: don't waste one day of the 720. You want to be in the band, the glee club, you want to be on the stage crew, you want to go out for sports, do it. Because those 720 days, whether you know it or not at the time, are the best days of your life.